Hi, welcome to episode 7. I'm Greg Studley, author of the book, A Guitarist's Guide to Improvising with Knowledge, and developer of the website improvisingwithknowledge.com. This episode we're going to cover how to take two pentatonic shapes and use them for improvisation. Just a reminder that everything you're going to see today, everything will play, all the music scrolling across the screen, you can get for free. Just go to improvisingwithknowledge.com, go to the downloads page, and you can grab every piece of music you need as a PDF file. For starting off with improvisation with two pentatonic shapes, we're going to go with a three-step method for it. That's going to be first playing the roots, then playing the scales, and finally improvising over the chord progression. Be sure at this point though you have an understanding of notes across the E string, notes across the A string, along with two major pentatonic shapes. That would be the major pentatonic E4 and the major pentatonic A4. Two minor pentatonic shapes. That's the minor pentatonic E1 and the minor pentatonic A1. We're going to be using all of this in the improvisation. So if you're unfamiliar, go back to the previous episodes and check it out. Starting off, we're going to be playing the roots of the chord progression. Our chord progression is going to be E, C sharp minor, A, and B, with each chord having a duration of 4 measures. Step 1 is playing the roots. Now, because we're using our two pentatonic shapes instead of just one, we have to elaborate our three-step method. So in playing the roots, we're going to go one time through the chord progression, playing all of the lower hand position shapes for these pentatonic scales. Second time through the chord progression, we'll move over and take the higher hand position shapes for all of the pentatonic scales. In playing the roots, we will start off at the low root of our E major pentatonic. That's going to be in 4th position. And what we'll do is constantly alternate our roots. So if we have two roots, what we'll be doing on E is playing a low root and a high root, low root, high root, and just alternate throughout. However, if a pentatonic scale has 3 roots, we'll go low, middle, high, middle, and repeat that cycle. So you may need to stop the video and just review where all these scales are, but if you feel like you're ready for it, here is playing the roots through the chord progression. Now that we've covered how to do the roots through the chord progression, the next step is to play the scales. The roots are great because it helps you know your hand position, and the scales now will let you know all the available notes that you can play for improvising. We'll be taking this in a very similar way. We'll still be going one time through the chord progression using the lower hand position shapes that are available. Then we'll take one time through the chord progression using the higher available shapes that we can. As we're playing through, we're going to start off on E major pentatonic from a low root, and then C sharp minor pentatonic starting from a high root. And we'll continue to alternate low roots and high roots as we play through the chord progression. So here it is, one time through the chord progression using lower hand positions, and one time through the chord progression using higher hand positions. Now that we've covered first the roots and now the scales, you should have a very good idea of where you can put your hand for playing over this chord progression. It's good to realize that when using two pentatonic shapes that sometimes there isn't any hand position movement that's required to get from one scale to another. The more shapes you use, the more this happens, and you'll find that a lot of shapes are just directly within reach and you don't have to move around the neck to get to them. So, when improvising over the chord progression, a few key things. Be sure to think ahead. That way none of the chord switches will get you by surprise. You'll always be thinking ahead of where you are. You can also use lots of rhythmic and melodic motifs that we've talked about, and that way you can keep your solo interesting and have common ideas throughout. One last thing is that now that we have lower shapes and higher shapes that we can use, you can have your solo build. What you can do is use lower shapes, lower notes to start off, and end your solo using the higher shapes and the higher notes. That way you can create a nice curve of building in your solo, and you can end using some of your highest notes and some of your fastest lines. Here's the solo over the chord progression E, C sharp minor, A, and B. I hope this episode has given you a pretty clear understanding of how you can take two major pentatonic and minor pentatonic shapes and use them for improvisation, and giving you a few steps for preparation for that. Please visit the website improvisingwithknowledge.com. There you can find downloads of all the exercises that we've played today, also all the exercises from the previous episodes. You can play along with the jam tracks to see how well your improvisation is going and try it with some few chord progressions that we have up there on the website. You can also sign up for the newsletter. You'll be one of the first to find out about upcoming episodes and to find out when the book, A Guitarist Guide to Improvising with Knowledge, is going to be released. Our next episode is going to cover arpeggios and how they can start to be used in your improvisation.